I'm Katrina, and this is Sew and Tare. Today we are planting things. So, I have these containers. They're a little dusty. I have bootstrap farmer containers, and they are a plastic that's durable and is reusable year after year. Pretty hard, not like the ones you usually get at the nursery. They have holes in the bottom, and then there's a whole tray that lifts up and you bottom water. So all these fit in the tray and you just lift one up, water, you're good. So this is what I'm using, and I'm going to be starting tomato seeds, tomatillo seeds, pepper seeds, and a few herb seeds today. Let me show you what I'm starting. So for peppers, I have a Fresno chili saved from the yard, a manzano saved from one at the grocery store, jigsaw. A lot of my peppers failed last year in this part, so I'm not sure what happened, but this year I'm going to be maybe bringing them inside at night instead of out in the garage, even though it has a heat mat. I think they probably need a little extra protection from the cold. Last year it was extra cold. This year it's not really all that cold, but yeah, when I say cold, I mean Central California cold. So, jigsaw pepper, Maraski pepper, lemon drop, Pippin's golden honey. This is Greg's Grande jalapeno. Phileas blue. This one has a note that it was overpacked due to low germination rate of 52%. So some things have low germination rates anyway, so I'm going to make sure I plant multiple of these in each cell and be good to go. All the tomatoes are heat tolerant tomatoes. I'll put a link up here so that you can watch that video of what I chose and why. Tomatillos. Now, tomatillos, there needs to be at least 2 plants. And 2 years ago, so many self-seeded in the yard that I didn't even plant them this past year. And unfortunately, only one came up. So I didn't get tomatillos last year. I figured it would self-sow, but apparently critters got to them. So I have a purple one, Rio Verde, Chupon del Maligno. That's a larger yellow one. I thought that was pretty neat looking. And then I do have, and I forgot to bring out the other one, but I did actually buy black pepper seeds. Black pepper is something that I've wanted to grow for a long time now. It would not overwinter here, so I'd have to either take it inside or protect it in some other way. But I did buy some black pepper seeds. When researching this, it sounded like the fresher the better, and the stuff in the store, just your black peppercorns, won't germinate. So I'm going to be testing that. I forgot to bring them out right now, but I'll be testing that against these ones that I bought, and we'll go for there. So I have those, and then for the herbs, I guess, I don't know, I'm putting it with peppers, maybe because it's cold pepper. I have cilantro, basil, a few types of basil. I have sweet Italian, Thai Siam Queen, and purple opal. And I'll be starting more herbs later in the year. And then a local restaurant owner told me he is having a hard time finding ova leaf. And from what I found online, ova leaf is also called Ajwain herb, Ajwain. And these guys say it's also called Ethiopian cumin. So I don't know if that's true or not, but I am going to try and grow it. and we'll see what happens. Yeah, see if I'm successful at growing it. Didn't come with growing instructions, but I'm going to just sow it like I would most herbs and see how I go. The seeds look similar to a carrot seed, but Anyway, so those are my seeds that I'm going to be starting. I always start off with potting soil in the bottoms. This is something I learned from Living Traditions Homestead. I don't know if they do it anymore, but it seems to work. And potting soil in the bottom, and then a seed starter in the top. Seed starter is used because it holds moisture, retains moisture, so that the seeds can actually germinate and start to grow, but it doesn't really have much nutrition. So that's why once the roots get down through that, it hits the potting soil, then it has nutrition. So that's what I'm doing today, and you're along for the ride. So this is how I do it. Other people do it differently, and we'll go from there. I did make a mistake in my live, well, I don't know when it was. I think by the time you guys are seeing it, it's going to be 2 ago. But I said so most seeds are sown half as deep as they are wide. I meant to say twice as deep as they are wide. Don't know why I said half, but that's the fact with most of the seeds you have. And then a lot of the herb seeds are just sown on top and even just pressed in the soil or raked over with your fingers, and that's enough to cover them. They just need contact, in other words. And then once we plant these, we're going to be putting a humidity dome over them, and they're going to go under some grow lights. So I'll be showing you that once I have things planted. Here we go. So I'm just giving a little tap here. Another reason to only put the seed starting mix on the top is because it is more expensive, so you're using less money. And you can spread it over more seedlings. So I don't know if the camera was picking this up, but when I get some soil, I'm tapping it in with my thumb and go again and tap it in again. And then anything else extra, I kind of scoot off the top. And that's all I'm doing. I don't know if that was picking it up or not. Now I'm just patting this in here just so it has good contact. I'll be spraying this with a water mister once the seeds are planted. Alright, so these trays are filled up. It's time to put the seeds in. But before I do that, I have this. Now, I've tried a whole bunch of different things for labeling plants. And you can see the box is half full. I use these. I reuse these. I find them later in my yard because I forget where they are. I dig them up in my bed sometimes, but that's okay. These are just plastic planting tabs. I find that these work better than the ones that I get at, like, I tried the ones that are white. I don't even remember what brand they were. They're like long and skinny and white. And those ones fade so fast, like it doesn't seem to hold the ink as long as I needed it to. These are not going to hold ink like all summer. You might be able to read what was on it. Later you might not, but it does fade. Now, I one time was helping a professor with a genetics project and for cactus, and he had a random fact that he shared with me. I have no idea if it's true or not, but he claims to have tested what lasts the longest in different conditions and all of that. He claims purple is where it's at. So it doesn't really matter what color. This is a Sharpie. Doesn't really matter what color Sharpie you use. I have one person that has had said that he did research. I don't know that I actually trust that he did the research, but you can use any color you want. I happen to like purple. I figure why not. Alright, so here we go. I'm writing them down. I'm going to skip ahead so you guys don't have to see me writing tons of tags. Alright, something I do want to mention is that these are going to be shoved pretty much all the way down into these containers because I'm going to have the humidity dome. I like to crowd my writing over to the non-pointed side. That way I know that that writing is above the soil level, or at least above the soil level enough I can tell what it is. Alright, so there's one tray. It's all filled up and ready to plant. Because I'm going to plant the same thing in all of 4 of these, I just label it once at the back, and you can see how those labels go. So I'm somewhat color coding the tags. Doesn't always work out that way, but all of the peppers are blue, including the black pepper, which is not a pepper. That's also blue tag, and then the tomatoes and tomatillos are going in the next tray, and so those will be, tomatoes will all be one color, tomatillos will be another color. It's pretty obvious what they are when they come up, but I do want just a little reminder, like if something's slow or something's coming up quickly, like which one it is without having to read the name. So that's my plan. Here we go. So the black pepper is supposed to soak for 24 hours before planting. I'm not planting this yet, but I do have a place for it for after it soaks. I'll be soaking these tonight. So there's one of 2 ways to do this. You can poke holes first, which I forgot to bring. It's okay. I'll just use this stick. Poke holes first, or do it as you go. I'm going to put 2 peppers per tray, or per container, and that's because I want at least one of them to come up. Most of them will come up, but I want at least one of them to come up, and then I'll be able to use both of them if they do come up, and if only one comes up, I can use one. You can plant more than this if you want. You just want to make sure that you separate them sooner once after they come up, so that they don't have root issues. So like if the roots are bound. I forgot to make a thing for this one. I guess I'm not planning it. Well, I grabbed one extra seed. I guess I'll make an extra hole here. Okay, now because this one had a 52% germination rate from the packaging, I'm going to plant more of these per container. Alright, on to the next plot. So whenever you're starting seeds, there's a few things that you want to pay attention to. One is the depth of the seed. And so that means, you know, typically it's twice as deep as it is wide. But some of them are different. So if you have a seed packet that says something different, follow the seed packet. Sometimes you have to scarify a seed. And what that means is it may need either soaking or abrasion, and where that comes from is basically there's an outer seed coat that needs to be kind of broken through, and that naturally happens when soaked, or usually when gone through a digestive tract of an animal. So you could eat it and search for it later, but I don't recommend that. When you have if it says to scarify, it could say, you know, to soak it. If that's the case, then just soak it. If not, another method of scarification is to use sandpaper, and you just do a little bit of sandpaper on it, just enough to break the seed coat. You don't need to like make your seed perfectly round or anything like that. And then still other seeds need things like fire or an acid to, which comes about because of fire in the soil. So I know lupin is a fire, it needs fire. There's some pine cones, some pine trees that need fire, and that's more to kind of act as a melting process for that coat, I believe. I don't know if you could get away with sandpapering those or not. And then there's another thing called stratification. So stratification is when a seed requires, so stratify means striped or layered. And so if stratification generally is meaning temperature. So you either put it in the refrigerator or the freezer for a set amount of time and pull it out. Sometimes they have to go back in for another set amount of time. So there are seeds that require more than one winter before they come up, and that's what you're doing is you are pretending, you're tricking the seeds into thinking that they've gone through winter, is what you're doing when you put it into the freezer or into the refrigerator. That's what you're doing. So that's another thing that you might see on the seed packet. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that you guys might see on the seed packet. We talked about how to find your frost zones. I'll put a link to that video right here, and then you'll be more prepared in knowing when you should plant or when you should plant outdoors. If you're starting seeds and you're starting them too early, then you have the potential to have to, I mean, it's fine to start seeds too early as long as you have the space and time to up-pot them so that they don't become root bound. Because once plants become root bound, most plants don't do well. So even if you kind of unwind those roots, they're gonna still struggle a little bit. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else you would find on the back of the seed packet. It might say frost hardy or frost not hardy. Not frost not hardy. Frost hardy or not frost hardy. So you'll have to know when your frost dates are, and actually look at what your schedule is, what your weather is for the scheduled out. So if it's mild for the next little bit, you might be able to get away with that and then just protect them when they come up. But be careful about those false springs. So you also don't need specific grow lights to do it. If you can start with any sort of light you want, they're going to do better if the light is closer to it, and you can move it away. Last year was my first year using actual grow lights. Before that, I had used just the light in the room and the light in the window. And then also, for a couple of years, I did use some shop lights that I was able to raise and lower. So, and those worked fine. Those worked fine. They just take up a lot of energy. Now they have LED grow lights that, you know, have the right color spectrum and all that. So I have not planted any of these tomato varieties before, so this will be interesting. They're heat tolerant. I put a link to that video earlier in this video of why I chose what I chose. But I'll be interested to see how these turn out. For the tomatillos, I planted the purple one and the green one, and then this one is the new one. And it looks like it's a pretty large tomatillo, so it's someone's hand there. So I'll be interested to see how that grows here. Here we go. Here's planting. For the tomatillos, or for the tomatoes and tomatillos, I'm also going to be planting 2 per little pot. Actually, I'm just going to mark all these right now. Alright, well that is it for the outside stuff, and I'll say my closing here, and then I'll take you inside and show you what we do in there, because the sun is going down and I have a live to get to. So, alrighty, welcome to the garage. Really, I should have this in a little bit warmer spot, but this is what we're going with. Once they kind of start to get started, I'm going to move them indoors at night with a heat pad. So I'm just pumping this up. This is done by pressure, and it has a really fine mist, and that's what I'm going to be using to do the initial watering. And What this does is it increases the pressure inside to make it do that. So I'll bring you guys in. So I have my seed set up there, and underneath it I have a heat mat. So these are just seedling heat mats, and underneath it I have just a sheet, and that's just so it doesn't lose heat downward, because these are just those wire things, so it's just so it doesn't lose heat downward. And so what I'm going to be doing is spray this with water. I could have done this outside, but the sun is down now, so I'm doing it now. And this just gives it a nice mist. And should keep it pretty damp. Now when it starts making that sound, it just needs more pumping. I think this nozzle got clogged, so just want to make sure I don't put seeds anywhere it's not supposed to. Water this other one. So once those are watered, I put a humidity dome over it. Depending on if you have a seed starting kit, you're going to have different sizes of domes that you can get. I just have this one that's, I don't know, 5 inches maybe. And that will allow them to get started good, and then also have airflow. So this one has adjustable vents. I'm going to close it right now, and then I will open it a little bit in you know, like during the day and tomorrow. And so this goes on until they've germinated. So once most of them have germinated, then that is when you take it off. So that's good to think about when you're planting things. You should plant things in a tray that's going to have one humidity dome on it. Then all those things should be germinating about the same time. The good thing about this is that they have these individual cups that if something isn't germinating, you can move things around and have them all under a hood. Or maybe let's say you have one type that's super germinated way earlier than the rest of it, then you can move it around. So that's it. So I'm going to put this on, and I built this shelf. It was a basically ripped board from the planters in the front, and the shelving, zip ties, and a couple nails. I was in a hurry and I haven't redone it since I made it. Alright, so that's how that fits. And that should get some humidity going. I'll put another one on the other side. At this point with these trays, you don't have to bottom water. Don't have to worry about that right now, because we're just focusing on the top and for the top to get started. So that's the goal here. And then once they start, they can, you can take the humidity dome off, and then at that point you're going to be more concentrated on temperature. I think that's what happened last year because it got really cold in here. So I think I need to be taking them in at night. Once they get to that point, take them in at night inside the house, and we'll see how that works. The lights I have are a full spectrum light, and they work really well. I should have lowered the lights down to the tops of the lid, but I did not in the video. There we go. I'll try and find a link for this. I think maybe I got them on Amazon, so I think I have a link for that. And I have another shelf below this shelf that I can use, and I could use this shelf as well if I needed to. Right now I'm just starting these, and then the rest of the seeds I talked about I'll start below these and go from there. So there you go. I hope that you enjoyed this little planting video, and that it encourages you to pay attention to what the needs of the seeds are. I thought of one more. Whether or not your seeds need heat to start. That's one more. So one of the things that your seeds require water waste that you can start it. I like this method. I originally saw it on Living Traditions Homestead, and using the potting soil on the majority and then the starting mix on the top. I really like that. But I'll be starting one more tray at least here pretty soon, but I really have to go, and sometimes time constraints are kind of constraining. But anyway, I want to thank you guys for watching this video, and I hope that you are planting seeds wherever you are and however you can do it. So you don't need a big seed starting thing. You can start it in, I mean, you can start it in a bowl if you want. A bowl with some toothpicks sticking up with a plastic bag over it. That can be your humidity dome. So no excuses. No excuses, guys. So if you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. And remember to hit the notification bell so that you get all of the content. If you don't hit that bell, they don't give you all the content. So have a wonderful day, and I hope that we all have a great gardening year. Thanks for watching.